is actively involved in fix and flips, new developments, long-term rentals, and short-term rental properties, including Airbnb. So, I mean, I know him personally, and I know that, I mean, he's an efficient person when it comes to what he does. So, a lot of us who do not know him, I would employ us to listen carefully and attentively to what he's saying. And if we have our questions, we can wait for his presentation. Afterwards, we can begin to ask questions. So we have 30 minutes for Mr. Ekene today. Um, After 30 minutes, we have also 30 minutes for our question and answers. So, but Mr. Ekene, if for some reasons you cannot, I mean, finish your presentation in 30 minutes, you can go as far as you can, and then we'll see how we'll manage the time. The time will be 1 hour, 30 minutes for presentation, and then 30 minutes for question and answers. Thank you so much, Mr. Ekene, and everybody that is on the line today. So I hand over to you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Ekene, are you hearing me? I mean, am I audible enough? I don't know if
I can
is
hear.
everyone okay,
I
okay.
have a
All right.
frozen.
All right. I thought I mean, people were not hearing me.
My name is Ekene Okoye. I'm still struggling with some bit of a technical issue. My system is a little frozen, so I'm trying to close up some aspect of it without shutting off from this meeting. So please give me a minute while this system responds.
That's fine, sir. That's fine. So I believe that when it comes to um investment and all that, it affects all families, and a lot of us want information about how to get into investment. So in case we have questions, I would like us to start preparing our questions, even, I mean, the ones that we have before now. We can start preparing our questions so we can ask him. He's highly knowledgeable in this field, and that is why we have him here today. And for those who do not know, we also have this session we'll have it uploaded on our YouTube um page. So in case we miss it or for some reasons, I mean, we have to excuse ourselves, we can also go back to the YouTube page to see today's meeting. Hello, Mr. Okoye, are you Ekene, are you ready?
Can you guys see my screen?
I think it's blank.
Yeah.
It's blank.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
Do you
see it
have it
now.
now?
Yeah, we got it. I
Okay.
can see it.
I'm trying to see if I don't want to shut myself off from this entirely, but just trying to make sure that I don't have anything else that's okay. So the system looks like it's better now.
Yes.
So looks like it shut off my PowerPoint as well.
I just want to be sure the screen you want us
So,
to see, the page, is it the one that has the like the ocean with a fish in it and some other?
so I did once I signed up to be on the Zoom, it just froze me out. So I'm trying to shut off everything else that is not important.
Yeah, just
And
go ahead
the
with the presentation, sir. Don't worry to share the screen because we don't want to hold people. So if you can just
Okay.
go ahead with the presentation, that would be perfect.
we're talking while I try to get the presentation back on. Just before we get started, I just wanted to give a little bit of my background on how I got into real estate. I usually try to tell this story so that everyone kind of knows that you don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. to actually get into real estate, intentional real estate investment, and you don't have to have all the money in the world to get started. It just has to be an intent for you to actually get started. So when I moved to Midland here, I was I moved. I didn't have any idea or intentions about real estate. I was actually looking at for something else about maybe Amazon, getting to do some business in Amazon. And I went for a program, and they talked about Amazon investment, and then at the same time they talked about real estate. And that was where it piqued my interest on the fact that they talked about how real estate can actually be something that you can use and plan very much for your retirement. From that moment on, um, it looked like a very daunting, journey, that almost an impossible journey, because I didn't have anything. I was still living in an apartment, a rented, not apartment, but a rented home when I moved to Midland. And then not just long after that, I mean, my contract, because I came here on a contract, my contract ended with the company that I was working with. And this now pushed me to, like, I was backed to the wall, and I had to make a choice to go and start. So I'm trying to say this because I want to make sure everyone kind of knows that you don't really have to have everything perfect before you start. It might actually be that you're pushed to the wall, or but just start now. So one of the things that I did was I got into real estate. I got educated in real estate investment. I didn't just start, and I picked up some mentors that mentor me online. But I think one of the ones that I'll give a shout out to today will be Raphael Okubere, Femi Song, and my partner Olabode Fatumi, and my dear beautiful wife Esther. They have really kept me accountable. They have really given me great advice over the time. And even sometimes when things really are very tough, they're the ones that kind of. So today I'm going to discuss why should you, why am I discussing real estate today? Just like what I mentioned. Can you hear me? Okay. Is that I know that real estate, and I've come to discover that real estate remains one of the most reliable paths to wealth creation. I used to wish that someone had told me this 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But because no one told me, I feel like it's an obligation for me to tell everyone else that the time to start is now. And so it's this presentation is to encourage everyone to be intentional about investing in real estate, by exploring opportunities, resources, and strategies to get started now. So what am I going to be covering today? Topics I'm going to cover is just for me to explain what it means to be intentional in real estate investing. Also, I'm going to talk about why real estate is different from, or why real estate stands out from other investments opportunities. And then I'm also going to share some of the opportunities that are in real estate. It's not just only buying and rental, there are other opportunities that are there. And then also I'm going to give some suggestions on the steps to take to get involved. And, we'll look at and see if this is actually the right time for you to start. And then I'll give you some of the suggestions from my experience, especially on the fact that from my experience, I've made mistakes, I've learned a lot of stuff, and I've also being able to navigate through difficult times, and those kind of difficult times are things that I would make sure that you do not get into that as well. So, for anyone that's getting to hear this the first time about real estate, so I assume that everyone, so a lot of us already knows about real estate, but some of us are kind of hearing it first time, just like I heard it some 6 or 7 years back. And before then, I used to think about when they talk about real estate, it's like, oh, real estate agent, someone as a realtor, and I didn't understand what it means to be an investor. So a real estate agent is someone that helps you to acquire a real estate uh, or to buy a property. And an investor is a person that buys a property to generate profit. You can be both, but a lot of times it's they're separate. So then also we'll talk about assets versus liabilities. Asset is something that puts money in your pocket, or a property that you buy that actually generates income for you, and liability is the one that takes away. And then we'll talk about active income, passive income, and partial passive. Active income is like the day job that you actually go to. If you're not there, you don't get paid. If you're there, you get paid. But passive income is when you're talking about money starts when your money starts working for you. And then we also have partial passive when you're still involved, and but you still have a lot of time for yourself. For passive income, maybe you check in once in a while, once in a quarter, once in a month.
Guys, why are you going upstairs? Guys, come and carry chair. Why? Huh?
Okay, thank you. So so when you're in real estate, you're gonna hear the term rent. You're gonna have loan and mortgage. So rent is what you receive from the property every month or every particular time span, and loan is the money that you took to be able to either buy that property, or and then mortgage is how you're paying back that loan. Is you're paying the interest and the principal. And then mortgage sometimes could include your tax and your insurance. Then cash flow. Cash flow is actually down when you receive that rent. When you receive that rent and you remove all the expenses that you make onto that house, that's your cash flow. So if you are paying a mortgage, which in a lot of cases could be your operating expense, say you're receiving a rent of $2,000 and your mortgage is $8,500, so your cash flow is actually $500. So appreciation, a lot of us could also look back if you already have property, if you're living in your own home right now, you discover that 10 years ago that you bought the property probably was $200,000, but today that property could be about $400,000 worth. So it has appreciated in value. So real estate appreciates in value over time. And so when we talk about appreciation, that introduces the word equity. So over the time that you bought a property, it's gaining in value. It's you've been paying off the loan on it, and if today you want to know what your worth from that particular property, what you would how do you calculate to know your equity is that you check the current value of that property versus the loan you still have on it. So, for example, if you bought the property 5 years ago, it was what 200 when you bought it. Today is what 300, but you still have 150 to pay on it. Your equity or net worth on it is $150,000. Then we'll talk about when you acquire property, how do you generate income from it? Are you renting it out for short rental? Do you have long-term rental? Short-term rental has to do with when you're renting it for like a day or two up to 6 months. Long-term rental is when you're renting it out to one person for more than 6 months. You sign a lease agreement for 6 months or more. Then also one of the key things I also want to mention as we go forward is location. When you're buying a property, where are you buying a property? What is the economic factor driving that location where you're buying the property? So if you're buying a property in Dallas, you know that there's so many economic drivers in Dallas that could make sure that city is stable for over a period of time. In that way, you know that at least you'll be getting some rental, but you also be getting appreciation. Things, even when the downturn happens, something else carries that location across. So these terms could help us understand a little bit of what we're going to discuss further. So now I want to dive into what I mean by intentional real estate investing. A lot of us already have bought properties over time. If something comes up, they just buy. It's quite a bit of randomness in there. But intentional real estate investment is when you are approaching it with a clear purpose. You tell yourself that this is why I'm, this is a goal that I have. You stay on that goal, be disciplined about it, and then you have to have a deliberate strategy to go for that goal. So you could tell yourself in the next 10 years, I should be able to have 10 properties. In the next 10 years, I should be able to have 100 properties, or I should be able to generate enough fund to be able to replace my current income so I can retire early, or things like that. So you have to have some investment clarity. You have to be efficient about it, and you have to make sure that it's something that will be sustainable. So just to show a little bit of difference between emotional investor and intentional investor. Is, for example, you take no action, or you actually just taking action from time to time, but just nothing really concrete. But an intentional investor is someone that decides, okay, I'm going to retire in 10 years' time. So I'm going to start buying a property that will generate me some cash flow, appreciation, or something for my children's college in the next 10 years. So you decide, okay, I'm going to, for every 1 year or 2 years, if I get a bonus, if I get this, I'll buy a property and I'll be building cash flow and to be appreciating over time for me. Or it could be spontaneous. So a friend just comes, knocks on the door, say, yeah, there's this land, they're selling land, or just join me. And then you're like, okay, I want to be part of this. And you just buy a property. You didn't run numbers, you're hoping it works. You're just very hopeful. But intentional investor gets educated, gets a mentor, research about what they're trying to do, see if it run the numbers, buys it because it fits into the long-term strategy that they have. Like I mentioned earlier, you have to be disciplined. And then, like I mentioned about randomness, anything that comes around, okay, I have some change, I'll buy some real estate. But when you're being strategic, you could actually do one of the strategies that I think I find it very interesting is the BRRRR method, BRRRR strategy, where you actually could decide you buy a property, you repair that property. Because you repaired it, that was a rundown property. You repaired it and you rent it out. So at the time that you repaired it, you gain value, and based on the fact that you gain value, uh, you refinance and pull out your equity out of that particular property, and then you repeat. I'll give an example: is that a house is $200,000 when you bought it, but it's actually worth $400,000 when you fixed it. But you put in only like $50,000 to fix it, or 100,000. Let me use $100,000, and then you now have the house worth 400, but what your cost was 300. When you do a refinance, you can pull your money out, and that equity can serve as your down payment on the house. And then you can take that money that you started with in the first place, go again and repeat it on another property. You could repeat that over time, and you see yourself using the same fund to actually repeat and get more for the future. Emotional investor is someone that also could is goalless. He buys liabilities and problematic investment, but someone that is intentional, sets a goal, and for their children, for generational wealth. I'm sure everybody knows, you've had old money. When you're set in that kind of ways, the money, they dry. So why real estate? For everyone that is kind of new in this, but it's something that you can have as a passive income. I do have a full-time job. I do have real estate, and it gives partial income. And in that way, you can still have your full-time job. You can still have any other thing you're doing, but you have that something that gives you partial income. And then you could also have more flexible time and control for yourself and your future, for your future. And then you could also gain wealth over time in terms of appreciation of that property. Over time, it's a few times that actually that real estate has ever gone down. I think it was when we had 2007 downturn. It just went down, but it came back running up afterwards. So if you have it for the long term, it's something that would appreciate over time. Then you have something tangible you can use to leverage for other investments as well. And then for tax benefit, this is not my expertise, but it's good to ask your tax person about this. But this is one of the places you can write off a lot of tax. For everyone that is actually in active income, your tax could be up to 37%. And some of that could be reaching off if you can actually get into real estate, and they can have a lot for you. So I'm going to talk about some of the opportunities that are in real estate. You can have the passive ones, which is real estate investment trust, where you can put in money, and the people that are experts in that area can just use your money and build on that, and then bring back returns to you. You can join some crowdfunding platforms. You can have managed rental. So rental could be handed over to a third party who will manage how the running is. So when you sleep at night, you won't be worried about what's going on that, and they'll send you your cash flow. And then you have the partial passive, like short rentals, Airbnbs, VRBO, and you can also have commercial property partnerships. Active investments also could include flipping houses, when you're actively buying, fixing, and selling a house, or you actually flipping and keeping, like the borrow method that I mentioned, or when you also have a property and you're also the manager of your properties that or you have direct ownership and management of residential properties that you have, and then commercial real estate development as well. So how do you get started in real estate? I would suggest that, it's important for you to set a goal now and tell yourself this is what I want this real estate to do for me and why I want to go into real estate. And you have some timeline or things that you want to achieve over that period of time. Some things can happen and derail that, but if you keep your eyes on that, it's going to be helpful. And so if you have like 10 years to retirement, you have 5 years to retirement, or even 20 years, or you just got graduated from school or, started working, you could have a plan. And you have to, when you have that plan, just don't go into it without having a good education, knowing how to run the numbers, calculating to see if it's a good deal or a bad deal. And then also connect with experienced mentors. In my case, I did both the education and I connected with some mentors. And I'm thankful for the mentors that I have. And then you can have other free resources. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay to join real estate investment groups, clubs, and committees and forums. So why do I say you should start now? There's someone could be like, you're into real estate, you're telling everybody to get into real estate. Yes, it never gets saturated. Opportunities are enormous. So, and the market keeps changing. If you were being here in Midland 20 years ago, and if you're arriving today, you're going to see a lot of changes that's happened. Things are moving, things are expanding, opportunities are there. Population is increasing. There's opportunity there. And early investment compounds well over time. So don't regret, oh, I could have bought this house or properties 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they could have been $50,000, and right now they're $600,000 worth. I missed out. Start now. So for me, I have been in real estate for some time. My early times, because I'm stubborn too, I made some mistakes. I always advise people, when you start on one strategy. Don't be everywhere, not all at once. Just find what niche that you find interesting and start there. Make sure you're well educated in that. And when you do start, never go beyond what you're capable of doing. If possible, never go beyond what you alone are capable of doing, even if you have partners in it. Don't extend yourself. Don't go more than what you can carry. That was my biggest mistake, and I always put it here. And it's an advice that I always tell first. It's also good. When I started, I didn't actually have my own fund. I did take some loan. I did take some loan against the property, and but if you can, at this stage where you are, and you have some personal funds that could be your backup fund, that could be your safety cover, it's good to build that fund and before you get started. So you could use that fund as a starting point. Yes, it's still important for you to take advantage of the loans that is there from multiple banks, but it's also good for you to have your backup money for you to, in terms of rainy days, for you to handle some of the changes that might happen. Start small with affordable residential properties. That, low hanging fruit is like single family rentals. I know a lot of people, whenever they tell me they want to get into real estate, they're telling me they want to get multi-unit apartments. It doesn't come all the time. Don't wait for it to just come before you get started. You can start with the low hanging fruit, the single family rentals, and go from there. You could also explore short-term rentals. There are things they call arbitrage. You can actually rent someone's property and you can put it on Airbnb, or you could buy your own property and put it on Airbnb. You could explore that. You could also diversify between, residential and commercial real estate investment. So, but whatever you are taking is good for you to start one strategy at a time, learn from there, and take it off from there. So this is, where I'll wrap it up. And if you have any questions, please, feel free to call me. I was giving a lot of free advice. I would give free advice. If you want someone to hold your hands, I would hold your hands. But we also have other people that you could choose as your mentors that are in Midland here. And still gonna, give a shout out to my mentors, Rafael and Mr. Femi Esson. They've been tremendous mentors for me. And with that, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you. I can't hear you now. I mean, are you still talking?
No, I'm waiting for questions.
Okay, you're waiting for questions. Okay. Thank you for that nice presentation. Mr. Ekene, I'm gonna start first while we wait for questions. Thank you for this nice presentation. Like I said earlier, I have a very, very disturbing question to ask, because on the first presentation, when you started, the first pictorial wordings that you posted was that, okay, some people invest unwisely, um um without being deliberate about it, and then some people invest wisely. So what's in the case that somebody gets a property and with the intention of, okay, let me just get a property, and now after this presentation we're like, okay, how do I get something from this property that I have invested in? Is there a way around it? Like maybe
Uh,
you get a property and you did not really have any intention on that property. You're like, okay, with time, maybe there is gonna be equity on that property, a landed property. Is there any way around it that someone can start getting something from the property if from the beginning the person was not intentional and did not look at the end goal?
Thank you for that question. One of yes, what you're saying that they missed some of the clear purpose for it before buying, and then are the numbers right? Did you buy it within the right price? Are you under? Are you above in terms of the current value? However, you don't want that property to become a liability. For here in the US, Nigeria, you can buy a property. There's no tax. There's nothing. You can sit there and it's gonna be waiting. Especially when you buy it all with your money. But here, even if you buy with your money, you still have to be paying tax, so it's a liability. So you want that property to start generating income for you. So, and that you can move that property in terms of turn it into a rental or a short rental, and that property can start generating something from you today. In that way, it turns from a liability into an asset. So you want every of your property that you have here in the United States to be an asset. If it's a liability, you'll be under and it will be painful because everything that you make, you'll be going towards it. I've been there and I understand. And I would say make sure that you transition that property into an asset.
Okay, thank you for that answer. So then with that answer, I'll go to the next question someone is asking, is it better to invest locally or out of state for beginners?
For the you can actually do invest outside. Like one of the things I mentioned here is I mentioned about investing in real estate investment trust, or there's some other people that manage the fully managed rental properties. That one, it could be outside the states. You have less involvement. You have to make sure you do your due diligence that they have everything set in place for that. The city is a city that does not that will not go down because of one economic issue or the other. So it has strong economic factors. And so that is purely partial passive income. But if you are trying to be involved at all, like if you're doing Airbnb and you want to be involved in it, or you want to actually manage your own rental, it's better it's in the city where you can have good control. Otherwise, if it's not in that city, hand it over to somebody else that is in the city to help you manage it better.
Okay. So, Mr. Okoye, I want to ask one more question. Like, real estate, is it limited to homes, like properties, homes, or are there other things that are added to real estate that's not just homes?
There's more to real estate than just homes. We're talking about just the ones that are physical that you can see. That could be in real estate. You could have the multi-unit apartments. You could have you could actually do new development. You could build from ground up and sell. You could flip and sell as buy, fix and flip and sell. So you're owning it for a short period of time and then turn it over and getting some equity out of it, the equity out of it. So it's not just only about you having a tangible property. You could have that tangible property for a long period of time or a short period of time. Also, so for some people, they just have some good money that is there in their retirement fund. They can pass it over to people that lend money for real estate. So when you're buying real estate, you go to some people they call hard money, and they or private lenders, and they lend you money. So some of those are other people that put money into that fund because they know and trust real estate. And so those hard money lenders are the middle people between you and the real owners of the money. So the real owners of the money are also into real estate investment. So you don't have to have a physical property to really say that you have one, but as long as you're in that field of real estate and your money is working for you, then yes, you are in real estate investment.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, I hope we're not bombarding you today, but the next question is, how do you decide when a location has peaked versus when it still has upside?
For every city, if you know the like what I mentioned in terms of location, you have what they call economic drivers of a place. For example, if you're in Houston or Dallas, let's say Dallas, that different things that are driving Dallas is not just oil and gas. It's there's technology, there's banking, there's so many drivers. So even if anything happens to the banking, the oil and gas will still hold, or medical will still hold, something else is still holding. So you have to look at it like if it was a coal city, for example, and that city is no more producing coal, then um, that city is going to go down and the property values will just start going down. And that's the only economic factor that that city has. So, but you need to invest, look at the location that you invest in. Is there somewhere that the different economic values, and if that economic value has a sustainable timeline, you can continue to invest in that area. And sometimes one economic factor that is very strong attracts other economic factors around it, and you can use that could sustain that city going forward. So, for example, if you're looking at Lubbock, you have the university. University is not going anywhere. Medical is now there. The other things that are driving Lubbock. Yeah, Lubbock has something, but how much of that is it going to appreciate over? How much of that increase is it going to have? Would also affect the property demand in that area.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you so much. So the next question will be, it says, what are the biggest risks new investors should plan for in their first deal?
Can you repeat that question?
It says, what are the biggest risks new investors should plan for in their first deal? Like somebody who is investing for the first time, what are the biggest risks that they should be aware of?
So I remember just before I got into real estate, I did see a property. They told me the value of this property. They said it was $100,000. And I was like, oh, this sounds very cheap. And then when I really got to be educated about real estate, to how to run my numbers, I got find out that that could have been a very bad deal. Because, for example, that property may have been what after repair for 150 and they're selling it at 100 right now. But if you fix it, you might fix it for more than $70,000. And so you'd be under when you're done. So one of the biggest risks you could have is if you don't know how to run your numbers. You need to be educated in that to be able to know what is this property valued at right now, and what am I putting into it and what am I getting from it. So it's important that you really learn how to run your numbers to avoid those risks. The risks are still there, but you need to make sure you minimize that risk by having to do all the due diligence that goes with that. I don't know if that helped with the answer.
Yeah, that helps. Like, the question is like talking about someone who is new in investing. So if you say someone has to know how to run their numbers, are you talking in the area of having a mentor? Because you talked about having a mentor earlier, having a mentor, having somebody who can guide you through. Because some people may not even understand how to run the numbers if they don't have someone that can show them how.
Yes. So those are well, that's why I mentioned about the education about that. Yes, you get educated about real estate and get a mentor. It's also very important that when you do have that, you call someone to pay a sounding board to the investment that you're trying to make. I know everyone kind of wants to keep things very secret, but if you have a reliable mentor, matured person, everything stays within. And if you're going wrong, they'll tell you if you're going wrong. And sometimes you might be stubborn and you go more than what they told you, and it will come back to you. A lot of times, um, by the experience, they already know and they've seen something like that in the past to tell you this is a good deal or a bad deal, unless maybe you didn't give them all the information needed for them to, evaluate that. But yes, it's good for you to get educated. And there's a lot of resources that should go into that for you to know when you see a house, there's more to it. There's more behind the walls. There's the plumbing. There's the foundation. There's the electrical. They're going to show you all the beautiful stuff on the day that you're buying it. When you buy it, you're going to see other stuff. Also, when you're buying, it's important for you. It's important if you use a realtor as well, to make sure that you're covered in terms of the legals. It's also important for you to, I was going to mention one other factor, but if that comes back to me, I'll bring that up. But there's so many due diligences. Yeah, you're supposed to get an inspector to inspect the house, uh, get to know what other things that are hidden behind the walls that might come out and bite you when you acquire that property.
All right. Thank you so much. And the next question will be, it says, if you were starting over today with limited capital, what type of property would you focus on first and why?
So uh, with limited funding, there are different ways you can look at that. Is that do you want to have your limited funding as your backup, or do you want to have your limited funding as what you're just going to go with without any other external help? Um, and there's the there's Airbnb is a good place to start, but there are different kind of ways Airbnb could you could get into Airbnb. You could either own it or you could actually rent and re-rent. So you, but I would say it's best that if I was, I would prefer that I had some backup fund. I will always recommend that you have before you start, you have some backup fund, and then before you actually borrow money from another person, you have some more that you have backup fund just in case things start going. Um, you get into a mistake in your investment.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So I also have one question that I want to ask. It's that when you say people should get involved with real estate, is there a time, or I mean, is it everybody that can get themselves involved in real estate, or someone have to be able to afford some kind of living or have some kind of financial backing to be able to get involved in real estate? Or I mean, it's everybody. What stage or what capacity of people can get involved in real estate?
I think everyone should and can be able to get into real estate. The Everyone's financial situation, or I'll say life situation, might be different. If some might, at the stage I'm talking about it now, the health is the number one thing that they're bothered about now, how to get well. And so different factors can actually like hold you back from starting right now. But if you can, don't wait till you have millions. Don't wait till you have everything perfect. Uh, Start now. I cannot discuss all the different ways that one can actually get started with right now in this presentation. But yeah, if you do have wherever status that you are, whatever stage that you have, my number is on this. Just give me a call and we can discuss it, and I can give you some tips, steps, or some other bring in some other people that could even give you ideas as well. But I always say start. Uh, I wish someone told me to start 20 years ago. Uh, that's what I always think about, and that's why I'm making this presentation.
All right, thank you for that. The next question is, how much cash reserve do you recommend a beginner to keep before purchasing an investment property?
So if you buy the property, you should be able to, if something goes, I mean, you should be able to acquire the fund that you need to be able to run that property, if possible, from external source. But you should also have something that if something doesn't work out in terms of the plan, that you should be able to fund that mortgage for at least 6 months, if possible, for that property that you're acquiring, because sometimes things could go wrong. And I would say this because in my own case, it was COVID that just came up. I had a property that I just finished, and there were a lot of people knocking on the door to get to acquire the property just before I uh, I finished the house. And once I finished the house, it was next Sunday. I was supposed to have an open house so that people could just come and kind of beat on the house. That was when the lockdown happened. Just right then, I had to hold on to this property for another 6 months, and it was a bit destabilizing. If I had a lot of cash reserve at that time, it wouldn't have been that much of a pain. So I always say, just always, as much as you could get the funding and resources externally, if possible, please also have yours in case you just want to swoop in and save your own self. That's one of the key advice that I usually don't overextend yourself. Just, if possible, have cover as well.
Yeah, the next question is, thank you for that response. The next question is, how do you see the current interest rate environment impacting the real estate market? Because most people are usually more concerned about the interest rate and often use this as an excuse not to start.
If you're talking about, I love this question whenever it comes. When you're talking about um, your own personal home, like if you're trying to go into to go and buy a property that you're gonna live in today, you would it would bother you because you're the one that would take all the pain that comes with the interest rate. Um, and at that time that it's actually high, it's usually a buyer's market. But once you have a situation where, and on during that time that you have that high interest rate, yes, you buy a property, you put out the rent, and someone rents it for the rate that is going at that point in time. It's your renter or whoever is renting your property is the one that is paying that interest. You're still going to get your cash flow. And if at any point in time the interest rate goes down, you could go back and refinance on a lower interest rate and have lower mortgage to pay. And that means you're going to have a cash flow, cash flow that is higher. But if you wait till the time that the interest rate is lower, then not only that the at that time the interest rate is lower, you now have the property itself going up in price. That so if you were at the point where it was high interest rate, it was 300,000, you might be buying at 400,000 time that you are that the interest rate is lower. So it's better that you buy today at that 300,000, pay high interest rate. Whenever the low interest rate comes in, refinance and go back to a lower rate. Don't wait till the time that the interest rate is low before you get started. Start now. You're not the one that will carry it. But if it's your personal home, yes, it will be painful. You're gonna feel it.
Right. Thank you, sir. And the next question, I really like this question because it's one of the questions I wanted to ask. So Mr. Henry is asking, purchasing underdeveloped land and waiting for the surrounding area to develop and appreciate. Is it a solid long-term investment approach?
In Nigeria, that is quite a strategy in Nigeria. It does work well also on the fact that you don't pay tax on it as it waits for something to come closer to it. If you're in the US here, you're gonna have to still pay some tax on it. You know, hopefully if you can put it under agriculture or something like that, then you don't have to pay tax on that property. But as long as it's something sitting around you, somewhat be paying some tax on it. But it might not be a very painful tax compared to if there's a property already on it. So it could be something you call a strategic acquisition. In that way, you're looking at long-term equity as a means of turning the long-term equity as what you use to define it as an asset. But over a period of time, it's going to be a little bit of a liability until you turn it around and make it a full asset. But yes, it's good to do that because if anyone knows right now in Midland, the loop from Fairground, I think Fairground from Lamisa all the way east is opening up. If someone had a property in that area right now, it's gonna be like triple or four times the value it had like 4 or 5 years ago. So sometimes, yes, you have to look at your long-term strategy because whenever you're buying, you have to look at the strategy that it has to be intentional, that you're buying it for this purpose, not just randomly. Oh, I just heard there's one land in one place like this. You just buy like that. You don't even know if it's gonna appreciate if there's a road gonna come there, there's a highway that's gonna come there, there's a city they're building there, or a factory they're building there. You're just buying randomly. You have to look out and see what are the economic factors that will drive that property to become an asset in a period of time.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Um, Thank you for the knowledge you have shared with us today. A lot of us do not even have idea on how these things work, but because you have stretched yourself to educate us on this, I believe a lot of us will also contact you directly to get more information and all that. And one thing really struck me, like when you said that some people say, "Oh, this is what you do. Why are you, I mean, spreading the knowledge and all that?" And you're like, "Okay, investment, business, I mean, getting into investment does not wear out. I mean, everybody can get involved and it doesn't affect the next person." So I want to say thank you for today. Thank you for this time that you've given us. And for those who still have questions that want to ask questions, you can call Mr. Ekene. We have his number on the screen right now. Or if you have the time, you can also, I mean, text him as well. So for more answers to your questions. Thank you, Mr. Ekene. Also, we can all go back to the YouTube page to watch this session. And somebody is saying thank you for the insight on today's topic. We appreciate your time. Thank you. Yeah, we do appreciate your time. And thank you to everyone who has joined today. I was going to say that if we have time, we can also go to our YouTube page to watch and listen and learn more about today's um, topic. And may God bless us all. In Jesus' name. Thank you for joining. Have a blessed weekend. Thank you, Mr. Ekene. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Everyone for joining. I really appreciate having an audience. I could have been talking to only just Joyce and see if you guys sure. But I really appreciate
Yeah.
everyone for taking
Yeah.
your time,
Thank you so much.
and I
Thank
look
you.
forward.
We appreciate you. Thank you.